Yeah, we back. Now, today we got an interesting topic. So recently I had seen a clip where somebody was being interviewed, and I believe it was a lady from Nigeria, older woman, and she was talking about how she raised her kids abroad, raised her kids in the West. And in the video, she seemed upset because as she got older, she felt her kids were not really in tune with their, native culture back home. And she kind of, I guess in a way, regrets raising them abroad. So, and as an anchor baby myself, I feel like I could add some commentary to the situation. Now let's get into it.
So tell me, why do you give birth to your children in the US, in the States?
Because when I was young, before coming in Europe, I used to see all those people that are born in America, when they come home, check. But I regret it, trust me.
Really?
Yeah, I regret it. Because it's like I have none,
Why?
Because they're white. Not everything you see brilliant is gold. Not because you see the American children, they look plump, but it's just waste, They can't cook, they can't speak your language, they don't want to do this, they don't want to do that. You can't talk to them. It's like you waste all your time. It's something I regret. Do you understand me?
All right, we back. Now, in that part of the clip, from what I can tell, she is most upset at the fact that her children don't really have as much of a connection to the original culture as she would like. And in fact, she went as far as to call her kids white. She said, "My kids are white."
But I regret it, trust me.
Really?
Yeah, I regret it. Because it's like I have none,
Why?
Because they're white. Because they're white. Because they're white.
Now, I just want to say on behalf of all black anchor babies, all of us are not white. There are many of us who are very in tune with our culture, our heritage, but what she is saying has a lot of accuracy to it. I'll say that. And it's nothing malicious because it's just natural, right? So if I was born in Canada, I would have picked up on some of the slang and the culture up in Canada. If I was born in Jamaica, I would have picked up on the slang and the culture down in Jamaica. That's just natural. So due to the fact that I'm from New York, as you can see, I got the spirit and the mentality of a New York black man. But I never was disconnected from my roots. And that's mainly due to the fact that my family kind of either deliberately or coincidentally took certain actions so that I wouldn't be disconnected from my roots. Now let's get back into it.
Yeah.
So you see, like having kids abroad is kind of like waste of
It's a scam.
Really?
Yeah. They better born their kids in Africa, then they can bring him here if you want. If you born him here, take him home. If you born here after immediately 3 years, take him home to spend up to 10 years. When he's 3 years, take him home after up to 10 years, then you bring him back so that he will get addicted to our culture and our tradition. Because the education, the Western world here has turned everything upside down. So if you want to give your children a European document, that's cool. But arrange them. You born him here or her here, take him home. After 3 years here, take him home. When he's 10 years, bring him back.
All right, we back. Now, like I said, yes, I am an anchor baby. I was born in Brooklyn, New York, and as soon as I was born, I was on a flight directly back home. Then I came back around 4 or 5 years old when it was time to start school. Now, in the video, I see she has a lot of regret. She says that her kids are white and they don't have any connections to the culture, and she wishes that she might have sent them back home to spend some time back home to kind of get accustomed to the culture and the traditions. Now, I'll say this. If you are planning to migrate to another country and raise your children in that culture, you should just make peace with the fact that your children are not going to be as connected to the culture as you are. And also, there's some nuance to the subject as well, because sometimes those who are migrating away to a different country for better opportunities, they might not have the greatest opinion or sentiments or image of their country of origin. They might associate it with a lot of negative things that we're trying to get away from. So sometimes even the children are able to pick up on that self-hate. So if you don't have any positive sentiments about your culture or your nation, if you don't have any positive things to say, why would they feel inclined to even dive into the culture? And then on top of that, I don't know this lady personally, but I guarantee she probably raised her kids in the whitest area possible. If you migrate to the United States and raise your kids in Iowa, how can you expect them to be tapped into the culture? Now, when it came to me, my folks kind of hacked the system because, like I said, I'm an anchor baby. So as soon as I was born, they sent me right back home. And I came back to the United States when it was time to start school. And when I came here to North America, I came to New York, which already had a heavy population of my people already here, right? I grew up in a neighborhood where it was a bunch of my folks already here. All of our stores already here. Our little money transfer spots already here. Our restaurants already here. Our bakeries already here. So when I came back, I was still amongst my folks. So I was still heavily tapped into the culture. In fact, it wasn't until the 5th grade where my father actually deliberately transferred me to a more diverse area because he wanted me to, interact with the different nations of the world, right? He was like, you can't just be only amongst the blacks only your whole life. You got to be accustomed to, intermingling and politicking with the whites and the Asians and everybody else in between. But for the most part, I've been amongst my folks my whole life. If you want your kids to maintain that connection, you have to move to an area where your people are already concentrated at. You can't raise your kids in the middle of Colorado and then you want to act confused that they're more connected to American culture than their original culture. Now, let's take a look at some of the reactions on social media. This person said, "It's completely delusional to expect your children to behave like people in Nigeria when they have been brought up in a completely different place. She should be happy with the children she has instead of shaming them in front of the whole world." Now, I agree, but also I would ask her, did she make any deliberate effort to connect the children with the culture? Did she play the music around the children? Did they grow up eating the traditional foods? Did they learn the dances to the music? Like, did you make any effort at all, or did you leave it completely up to Western society to raise your children? Because if you leave it up to the Western society, of course, you can't get upset that your children are white. When it came to me, I came up eating the foods. I came up doing the dances. I was forced to communicate with my parents in their native language. And I remember ever since I was a kid, I would always hear my grandmother and my mother, always talking about, ancestors, Zansetio, Zanset, you know what I mean? The ancestors. So I was already tapped in whether I wanted to or not, whether I liked it or not. But these were all deliberate actions that were taken, whether directly or coincidentally. But it's because of those actions taken that I still have a connection to my roots. But if you don't take any of those actions, you don't communicate in the native language. You don't, grow up eating the foods. You don't make a deliberate effort from a young age to kind of indoctrinate their mind. You're not going to be able to tap them into the culture. You might as well get used to the fact that your child is an American or your child is a European. It is what it is. Now let's continue. This person said, "Raising children in an entirely different culture has to be tricky. They are teaching them one thing in school and you're teaching them the opposite at home." Now, that is one thing that's very, it's actually kind of funny, man, because for me, right, my family teaching me about, the greatness of Dessalines and, the greatness of Christophe and the greatness of Toussaint Louverture, right? And they talking about how we smashed Napoleon, and they telling me how the Europeans was a bunch of rapists and criminals. And then I'm going to school and then they're telling me about the greatness of Thomas Jefferson and Napoleon Bonaparte. Now, thankfully, as a child, I was able to separate and understand that, they're just telling me their side of the story. It's not the real story. They're just telling me their version of events, right? But I knew the real version of events was the one I got from my family. Now, let's continue. This person said, "What about the good life you seek for them? Was it not that the sacrifice?" Now, like I said before, if you plan to migrate, you have to understand whatever children you have, you raise them in that environment. They're going to be products of their environment. At best, they're going to be a hybrid of the two cultures. They're never going to be all the way tapped into the culture as you are. At best, they're going to be a hybrid. Even myself, I'm a hybrid. I'm a hybrid of the two cultures because I'm a product of my environment. And because of that, I'm able to move between the two worlds very elegantly and very effortlessly. But at the end of the day, I'm still a hybrid. And I think that's simply part of the sacrifice. Your children are going to assimilate to whatever environment you place them in. It is what it is. So if you don't like that, you better place them in an environment where a lot of their people are already at. Place them in an environment where they're going to be surrounded by their folks. You can't place them in the whitest spot in the whole city and then get upset that they're not tapped into the culture. Come on, man. But anyways, bro, it's your boy Neferkari, that's Salim, back in the Billy, yes indeed. Cash App in the description. Support the channel, man. Support the album. Peace.
No. Feel like I'm 75. Know that your team be full of them traders, you know that can never be mine. I'm grabbing a thought when I drive. I'm back in my zone and we on. She said that she ready to come be my wife, yeah, hoping I don't do her wrong. I gave her my word in this bond. I'm whipping the best like a lamb. I mean no chicken and lamb. Accustomed to call me the man. I never be up on the gram. I'm keeping that way undercover. She want me to tell her I love her. I told her I'm breaking the rules. I told her we making the news. Back in my city, they loving me. Standing alone, I'm 100 deep. Enemy plotting and still in reach. They trying to make sure that we underneath. Trying to make sure that we never make it. Coming for power, come get acquainted. Coming for everything that I wanted. Feeling like Drake, but I really wrote it. Feeling like Kendrick, I'm checking names. Gotta roll up while I go insane. Got so much stress, I been gained weight. Stuffing these racks in this Louis case. One thing for certain, I'm about to check. Keep it 100 and nothing less. Stick with the family since day one. Had to stay down till my day come. Had to stay down, but I'm never patient. Hop on the mic and I'm motivated. Hop on the mic and I drive a classic. Haters can't see me, they copping glasses. Back in the studio making magic. Got a new tape and it's in production. Back on my business, I got a budget. Staying low key when I'm out in public. Feel like I'm 75. Know that your team be full of them traders, you know that can never be mine. I'm grabbing a thought when I drive. I'm back in my zone and we on. She said that she ready to come be my wife, yeah, hoping I don't do her wrong. I gave her my word in this bond. I'm whipping the best like a lamb. I mean no chicken and lamb. Accustomed to call me the man. can never be up on the gram. I'm keeping that way undercover. She want me to tell her I love her. I told her I'm breaking the rules. I told her we making the news. Making the news.